Welcome back to the deep dive. If you're looking for a nation, really defined by strategic tension, deep history, and literal eternal fire, well, you found it.
Absolutely.
Tonight, we're turning our focus to Azerbaijan, the country they rightly call the land of fire.
Yeah.
And this deep dive is really all about navigating a place that is fundamentally a bridge between worlds.
And that bridge metaphor, it's absolutely key, not just geographically, but economically, culturally, too.
Wow.
Our mission here is, well, to get beyond just the surface descriptions.
Right.
We want to understand Azerbaijan's strategic identity, how it manages its massive resource wealth, how it balances all these competing geopolitical interests, and maintains this really unique secular identity that's actually rooted in some very ancient faiths.
Okay, let's map it out first, the coordinates. We're looking at that crossroads of Eastern Europe and Western Asia, sandwiched right between the Caucasus Mountains and the huge Caspian Sea.
And its location really dictates its complexity, doesn't it? You've got Russia right there to the north, Iran to the south, and then Armenia and Georgia shaping those western borders. For thousands of years, this area has been a critical and often very contested corridor for trade, for empires, you name it.
And the landscape itself, it kind of mirrors that complexity. You find these snowy mountain peaks looking down over vineyards, deserts right next to green valleys, and maybe most importantly, huge oil fields.
Yeah.
The soul of the country, it feels like a layered story. You've got the Turkic language and roots, a really strong Persian cultural influence, a deeply embedded Islamic rhythm, but all filter through, decades of Soviet rule. The people are the Azeris, and they speak Azerbaijani.
It's a really compelling mix, but maybe let's start where that identity kind of begins, the fire itself.
Okay.
What's fascinating here is that nickname, Land of Fire, it's not just some ancient poetry. It's actually describing a genuine geological reality.
It's literal fire, like actual combustion happening.
Exactly. Underneath the Absheron Peninsula, there's natural gas constantly seeping out through cracks in the earth, and it causes these continuous visible flames. That's where you find the famous Yanardaz, the burning mountain.
Right, the burning mountain, where the fire's supposedly been dancing for centuries, observers say.
And this physical fact, this literal fire, it gave birth to some really powerful cultural meaning. Long before Islam even arrived, Zoroastrianism thrived here.
Wow.
Worshippers saw, actual divinity in that unquenchable blaze. It was central to a faith that viewed fire as the purifying core element of God.
Wow.
And this ancient reverence for light and fire, it's still fundamental to their national identity. It somehow survived empires, political shifts, everything.
That's a really beautiful way to connect the ground beneath their feet to their spirituality. So if that history is the foundation, then the capital, Baku, has to be the expression of its modern dreams, right?
Absolutely. Baku rises right there beside the Caspian, and it's completely defined by this rapid influx of oil wealth.
You really see it, don't you?
Oh, you do. When you look at Baku, you see that paradox rendered in glass and steel. You have the iconic flame towers.
Yes. The skyscrapers shaped like flames.
Exactly. Shaped like those very fires we were just talking about, shimmering on the skyline.
Yeah.
But all that wealth, it needed managing. And this is where we get into the destruction of the state.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, especially for anyone interested in economics. How does a nation that came out of Soviet central planning manage this sudden massive flood of cash from resources?
Well, they set up a specific mechanism. The State Oil Fund of the Republic of Azerbaijan, or SOFAZ.
SOFAZ, got it.
Right. This fund, it's actually one of the world's major sovereign wealth funds now. It takes that oil revenue, and its mandate is basically twofold. Save it for future generations and use it to fund infrastructure and, crucially, diversify the economy away from just oil.
Oh, okay.
It's really the financial engine behind all that rapid modernization you see in Baku.
So the flame towers, the modern art museums, the new roads, the infrastructure projects, it's largely bankrolled by SOFAZ.
Pretty much, yes. But, whenever a nation goes through such rapid, resource-fueled modernization, it inevitably creates tensions.
Like what? What are the biggest internal pressures that come with this kind of wealth?
I'd say the primary one is economic disparity. While Baku looks increasingly like this hyper-modern European capital, the distribution of that wealth and just the pace of development, it's often quite uneven across the different regions of the country.
Right.
So the challenge becomes ensuring that this huge national wealth actually translates into sustained, broad-based economic opportunity for everyone, not just, impressive architectural symbols in the capital.
Makes sense. And right alongside this symbol of 21st century modernity, you literally have Echerish, the old city.
Exactly, a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
It's such a stark contrast, isn't it? This maze of old stone lanes, ancient caravanserais, and that really mysterious maiden tower. Still don't really know its origins, do we?
No, its origins are still wrapped in mystery and myth. It really embodies that constant conversation Baku has between its past and its future.
Yeah.
But if we zoom out a bit, Azerbaijan is obviously so much more than just its capital. You have to think of the country as this, layered tapestry.
Okay.
Think of the mountain villages like Lahij, famous for its coppersmiths. You can still hear them hammering away. Or Sheki, with its incredible Khan's palace.
Oh, the stained glass, right.
Shimmering with traditional stained glass, shibik, and carved wood. It's stunning.
And then going even further back, you mentioned Gobustan earlier.
Yeah.
That throws you back, 12,000 years?
Right. Gobustan National Park, thousands of petroglyphs, these ancient rock carvings left by prehistoric people. You see hunting scenes, ritual dances.
Wow.
The depth of history there is just staggering. But going back to its location, that geography also creates these intense strategic challenges today.
Okay, let's talk strategy.
Yeah, given its position, Azerbaijan's modern statecraft is really defined by a very delicate balancing act.
How's...
Well, its main strategic asset is clearly its energy resources, oil and gas, and its main foreign policy goal, pretty much maintaining its independence by carefully balancing the immense gravitational pull of its powerful neighbors.
Let's really unpack that bridge metaphor now, but in a purely strategic sense. How important is Azerbaijan to the global energy picture?
Extremely important. It's absolutely central to what's called the Southern Gas Corridor, the SGC.
Okay, the SGC.
Right. This is a massive pipeline project. It includes the TANAP and TAP pipelines, and what it does is deliver Caspian natural gas directly to Europe.
I'm bypassing Russia.
Exactly, offering a crucial non-Russian source of energy. This really elevates Azerbaijan from just being a regional player to being a vital component of European energy security.
So on one hand, it's this key Western partner for energy security. But on the other hand, it shares these long, really deeply intertwined borders with major regional powers, Russia and Iran. How does Azerbaijan manage the influence of those two huge entities while still trying to pursue its own sovereign interests?
It's a constant tightrope walk. The strategy is effectively what they call a multi-vector foreign policy, or maybe strategic non-alignment.
Okay, multi-vector.
Yeah. They engage strategically with Russia, especially on security issues and managing the Caspian Sea. They maintain very complex historical and trade ties with Iran, but at the same time, they're actively developing economic and military relationships with Western powers, and especially with Turkey.
Right, Turkey's a major ally.
A huge ally. The goal is always diversification of partners, making sure they don't become overly reliant on any single power bloc. This constant balancing act, that's really the core of their political resilience.
That dynamic tension, it feels like it really defines the modern state there. Okay, let's shift from external politics back to internal identity. We mentioned that unique cultural blend earlier. Maybe the most fascinating paradox for listeners is how they manage their ancient religious heritage within this very modern, very secular framework.
Yeah, and that's a direct consequence, really, of the Soviet legacy. Azerbaijan is a majority Shia Muslim country sharing historical religious ties with Iran.
Right? Yet it operates as a resolutely secular state. Religious education is quite carefully monitored by the government, and public life, particularly in Baku, is highly secularized.
So you've got a nation that honors Zoroastrian fire rituals in its biggest spring festival. Most people practice Islam, and yet they maintain this strict separation of mosque and state that they inherited from the communist era. It's a really specific combination, isn't it? You don't see that many places.
Exactly. Very few nations share that precise combination. And this unique state structure allows them to market themselves internationally as, a tolerant, modern Muslim-majority nation while still deeply valuing their diverse historical and spiritual roots.
Okay, let's pivot briefly to how that cultural blend expresses itself through something everyone connects with, the food.
Ah, yes.
Because their cuisine, you said it, it's the story of traders, empires, shepherds. The food really is the narrative on a plate. It's heavy on lamb, lots of fresh herbs like mint and dill, and strongly influenced by the flavors that arrived via the Silk Road. Saffron, pomegranates, these are absolutely essential.
We absolutely have to talk about the king of the table, plov.
Oh, yes, plov.
This isn't just rice, is it?
No, it's saffron-infused rice, often described as jeweled because it's studded with things like dried fruits, chestnuts, and always features tender cuts of lamb or sometimes chicken. It really embodies that whole concept of feasting and abundance.
Sounds incredible.
And then you have these smaller, more delicate items that really show the care and precision in the cuisine. Think of dolma.
The stuffed grape leaves?
Tiny green bundles, yeah. Usually grape leaves wrapped around minced meat, rice, herbs, or kwatab. These are very thin, delicate pancakes, almost like crepes, filled with anything from meat to greens like spinach or even cheese, cooked on a griddle. Delicious.
Okay, my mouth is watering. But you mentioned something earlier, the tea ritual. You said it's almost more important than the food itself.
In terms of daily culture and hospitality, yes. Tea, say, it's the absolute core of hospitality and social life.
How is it served?
It's brewed very strong, served scalding hot in those distinctive, small, pear-shaped glasses. They're called armudu.
Armudu, pear-shaped.
Right. And it's almost always accompanied by a variety of jams. Traditionally, things like rose petal jam, quince, maybe cherry or fig. You stir the jam into the tea or eat it alongside.
Wow.
It's the mandatory pause in the day for conversation, for connection. If someone invites you for tea, that means you're truly welcomed.
That hospitality and those ancient spiritual roots we talked about, they seem to come together really clearly in their big annual celebrations. Let's talk about Novruz Bayram.
Novruz. It's the New Year celebration, but it marks the arrival of spring, usually around March 21st.
Okay.
And it's a direct link, a living link, back to those ancient Zoroastrian traditions we mentioned right at the start. It symbolizes the rejuvenation of nature and also the purification of the spirit.
And the tradition that just perfectly captures this deep dive, I think, is the fire ritual, right?
Absolutely. To enter the New Year cleansed, families literally jump over small bonfires.
They actually jump over fire.
Yes. It symbolizes leaving behind all the sorrow, sickness, and negativity of the old year in the flames before the new year begins.
That's incredible.
And you also see the growth cycle represented very physically. Weeks before Novruz, families plant wheat seeds called samani. They carefully tend them, watching them sprout into these bright green shoots, which become table centerpieces, symbols of life reborn. The whole period, usually about a week, is just intense celebration. Traditional music, dancing, visiting neighbors and family, and tables overflowing with sweets, nuts, dried fruits, and colored eggs.
It sounds amazing. And their art forms, particularly the music, also seem to preserve these long-held traditions. You mentioned Mugham earlier. Can you describe that a bit?
Mug is, well, it's Azerbaijan's unique classical improvisational musical tradition. It's based on modes, scales, but allows for incredible improvisation. Yeah. It's complex, highly emotional, and often involves this kind of intricate dialogue between the singer's voice and usually the tar, which is a traditional long-necked lute.
Sounds quite profound.
It is. And its complexity and depth, its cultural significance, actually earned it recognition on UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage.
It's often described as the music of the soul, isn't it? Like it can carry the whole weight of the nation's history, its joy, its grief, all in a single long performance.
That's a very good way to put it. And their collective identity is also reinforced through traditional dance, like the yali.
Yali.
Yeah, it's a group dance where people join hands, often in a circle or a line, moving together in rhythm, stamping their feet. It's very much a physical manifestation of community, of unity across generations.
So when we pull all of this together, what does this deep dive really tell us about Azerbaijan? We've got a nation sitting on some of the world's most sought-after resources, yet it's simultaneously steeped in these ancient fire rituals, centuries of layered history. It's a key global energy player that has to practice this incredibly delicate non-alignment.
I think it means Azerbaijan is a masterful practitioner of, let's call it, strategic duality.
Okay.
It's a nation defined by intense resilience, and it's perfectly positioned as that true bridge. We started with a bridge between the secular West and the spiritual East, maybe between its vast oil wealth and pockets of deep traditional life, definitely between the strong pull of its history and the future-focused hum of modern Baku.
So the core lesson here maybe is actually quite critical for many modern nations. that progress and tradition, they don't have to be enemies.
Exactly.
That the modern world can, and maybe often must, find ways to honor the functional, the spiritual, the strategic wisdom of its ancestors, if it wants to define a secure future for itself.
Well said. So when you look at that horizon, maybe online or in pictures, shimmering with the glow of Baku's flame towers, just know you're seeing a land that burns, not really to destroy, but maybe to illuminate its own path forward. It really is a place where every strategic decision they make, every complex musical note of Murgum, every shared cup of that strong tea, it feels like it carries a spark of that eternal fire, linking its ancient past directly to its very high-stakes future.